Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is our 2026 NFL Draft Prospect Show, and today we're going to feature a linebacker out of an area where Vincent is going to want to talk about this as much as anything out there. Tennessee, Memphis, close to home. Arlington, Tennessee is the home of this linebacker, Jake Golday, 6'4", about 240 pounds. He can run, he can lift, he can throw, he can move small buildings and mountains and leap and do everything that you would want as a football player. It's a really good guy, but he's a very interesting story. So along with Vincent Turner, Joey Clinkscales, and Brian LeBel, we're going to talk today about Jake Golday. He's from Arlington, Tennessee, which is just a little bit north of where Memphis is. And Vincent, you know all about that. He's transferred a couple of times out of Cincinnati. This is one of those guys, if you don't mind me saying so, not necessarily a rags to riches story, but a guy that was very limited in where he was going to be able to go to school. He gets better. He works out. He listens to his coaches. He watches some film. He gets a little bit better on game day. He works on his game, and now he's climbing up the charts. Vincent, what's not to like about this story?
First of all, what not to like about him, he's from the 901, Arlington, Tennessee, which we
Wait,
consider
are you saying that's not, I don't want to like him because he's so close to home for you? I don't want to like him because of that?
I know this is a draft show, so I wasn't going to try to go there. During the
We,
season last year, Mr. LeBel had some very not likable things to say about the University of Memphis football program. Instead of calling them the Tigers, he used to call them the Kitty Cats. So I'm going to leave it at that right now. And some of my people who watching the show tonight out of Memphis didn't really take that too kindly. I just say that. So with this young man being from that area, I think Mr. LeBel, I know you looking at the chops to trying to find some way, but this young man is a very special football player. As your son said in the pre-show meeting, he was a zero recruit. And his parents were basketball players along with his oldest brother. But he went to Central Arkansas, became very productive up there. Then this year at Cincinnati, what put him on the radar, 80 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 2 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles. Then he's a freak of nature, can bench press 225 pounds 24 times, 10.7 broad jump, 4.2 short shuttle, and then most of all, 19 pull-ups and 22.16 miles on the GPS tracking system. This gentleman is 6'4", he about 240, gonna probably play at 250. If you want to say old school, let's start with Mr. Fred Warner. But he remind me of them Bronco linebackers in the day that you should know about Harp, Randy Gradishaw, and Carl Meckenberg, who you
ooh,
played against. And then the guy we did earlier, he got a lot of Brand Van Pelt in him that brought Lawrence Taylor along up there in New York. Same type of athlete. But what more can I say? I'm very proud of this gentleman this evening. He elite, explosive, run thumper, sideline to sideline. Look at his game tape. If you look at him, you can see he can rush the passer. You can look at him. He was delivering some serious blows where he want to get you up like Freddie Mercury. We will rock you. You got mud on your face, baby, and he bringing it back all the way from Memphis, Tennessee to the NFL. This gentleman right here gonna get drafted very high, and I can't wait till the combine because he's gonna put on a show. And then maybe you, Mr. LeBel, look at your face. I know you'll want to hear that, but the 901 gonna come alive at the combine this year. Thank you, Mr. Jake Golday. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
all right, Jake Golday, you found a little bit about him, and you know that it hurts because Vincent went there deep. He took a X-Acto knife and started cutting at my heart, a little bit. But you know what, Joey? A lot of things. He's not Brian Urlacher in terms of his overall just the size, but man, he is impressive. His speed, his ability to get to whoever has the ball. Talk a little bit about the things, those intangibles that he has. His ability to drop back and be able to cover, whether it be a running back, a tight end coming in over the middle, or a slot receiver. There's a lot of responsibilities that he's going to have. What did you see on tape with him that says, you know what, he's got a lot of things going on, and he's showing me some things that I need to be able to see in order to be impressed and want to make a selection with him?
Well, the thing that I probably like best about Jake from the tape I saw is the fact that he plays really hard. He's a high effort energy guy. He runs. He's got great straight line speed, I think. And I will call him a guy that has some first step explosion, especially when he's rushing the pass. Although he didn't have great pass rush production, he does have that. Now, the thing that bothered me a little bit is he's a bit straight line. Okay, he's not a hat in hand player that can control and shed quickly, because he plays with high hips, high pads, and those are some of the things that bother me a little bit about when I watch Jake. He's more of a Sam backer, and they will rush him. He'll rush the edge, and he runs hard. But again, he doesn't have great ability to give you a second move or anything, because he's so tight in his hips and maybe even tight ankles. I probably need to look more at him to tell if he's ankle stiff, which would prohibit his ability to really turn the corner if he's got stiff ankles. But all that being said, you do see him dropping coverage, which is not completely natural for him. Again, the curl to flat area, he can do that. You've seen him do that. You've seen him almost get a interception in space. So he will drop him in space. But when he has to plant and drive from the curl to the flat, he's prohibited a little bit by some of the hip tightness. But all that being said, he's a Sam backer that I wish took on blockers more physically with his hands. He would in a perfect world, he would love to just try to slip the block and try to make the tackle. But at some point, you have to be able to play with your physicality, to get under a guy's pad, to jack him up, and then control him and shed him, get rid of him. You don't see a lot of that in this player. So those are some of the things that concern me about him, and his numbers kind of back that up, especially as a rusher. But you do see him making plays all over the field because he can run and he plays hard in his effort. And I think he's going to continue to be better and better. I think when he first gets in the league, he is the prototypical special teams demon type player. He's going to make a living on special teams, and then as he learns the system and gets better and better, then his role on the team will probably grow. But I think he's going to walk in the door as a special teams player. Probably in around the 5th round or so, somebody will take him and see have potential for him, what he can be.
Brian, a lot of things there from Joey. One of the things that I love about any player is, are you an all-compass person on defense? Can you go north, south, east, west? Can you get to the ball if it's near the sideline, if it's 10 yards in the backfield, or if it's 20 yards behind you? It seems to have, because of his speed, he has at least the ability to catch up to people. The heart and getting there are some things that he needs to work on. Of course, everybody does, but his ability to tackle, get a guy down on the ground and get the right guy there and go through somebody to make that, those are some impressive things, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the weaknesses Joey mentioned, that's the reason why he stopped playing defensive end, because a lot of the things you need to do to be successful at defensive end, he just couldn't quite figure out at Central Arkansas. And they moved him to linebacker. He picked up on it quickly. And I think one of the reasons why he was so good as a linebacker is because he just flies to the ball. Right, he seeks out contact. He wants to find the ball carrier. He wants to be disruptive. He's got some stuff to improve on, but I think absolutely, like Joey mentioned, that's going to make him phenomenal in special teams, at least initially, right? And that's his way to stay on a roster, to get on the field. Hey, I can be a depth piece and play special teams for you, and teams love that, right? They eat that up. If they can get a guy like that in the 4th, 5th, 6th round, I mean, that's a big deal when you have, obviously teams that are more cap conscious, and you need to have as many roster spots, guys that can do different things, but there's not a lot to dislike about him. It's just he flies around the field. He's very, very quick for his size as well. He's a big dude, right? He doesn't really see it when you look at his picture. He looks kind of lean, but he's 6'4", 240. And he plays leaner, but he can still deliver a shot every once in a while. And I think, the learning curve obviously is a little different in the Big 12 because, not a ton of defense, right? We rag on the Big 12 a lot because it's just a lot of teams spreading you out and flying all over the place, and it's not as refined or as close to what NFL type offenses are going to be. So we kind of knocked that a little bit, but he was remarkable. And if you ask anybody that watches Big 12 or Cincinnati football, they'll tell you Jake was a godsend for this defense. He made a lot of big plays. He stuck his nose in there. He's, forcing fumbles. He still has the ability to rush the passer at times, right? When they need him to, he can still do that because that's originally what he was supposed to do and what he wanted to do. But I think the more they threw at him, the more he figured out. And I think that's a big deal for the next level. I think he learns very quickly. And I think he's able to take a lot of the, he's a versatile guy. And I think it's going to help him at the next level. I think teams are going to love that.
Yeah, and the versatility, Vincent, obviously, a kid that's from close to home, that means a lot. And he's near the top in height. He's near the top in his 40 time. he's kind of in the middle in terms of his weight, but I don't know how much more weight you need to have on a guy that's 240 at linebacker. Yeah, do you want him at 250, but have him run a 4.6 40 instead of a 4.55? The Swiss Army knife portion of it that Joey mentioned really is the thing that is intriguing to me. Is that here's a guy that can, if he can, play on the edge, if he can be a blitzer, put his hand down in the ground, if he can get back in coverage and play a Tampa 2, if he goes to Tampa or someplace like that to play, his ability to do a lot of things will keep him on a roster, don't you think?
No question about it. I think he's a very versatile player. I mentioned earlier Fred Warren. He kind of reminded me of the kid that came out of Clemson a couple of years ago. The kid hasn't had a great career in the NFL, Isaiah Simmons. Remember him? Guy that played linebacker, they had him as safety. I just like everything about Mr. Golday. A guy, like I said once before, side out the sideline, he bringing heat. He coming to make some business. Then he can rush the pass, as Brian said. Then, as Joey said, he can get a little bit in coverage. I think when it's all said and done, he get in a system where he can prove his time, like Joey said, on special teams, and then you start bringing them maybe a third down linebacker. I think the sky's the limit, and I think he's going to test very well at the combine. But look at him, man. He's 6'4", 240 right now, 4'5", legitimate speed. He's what you want in a prototype linebacker. He coming with pain and coming to hit. And most of all, we're going to say old school. And I'm going to lay one more tidbit. There's a football player right now that's going to be the starting linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks. He's from the 901. He might be going to the Super Bowl. He's from the same area as Kenneth Walker, the third. Michigan State. Don't hate. Take it where it's at. 901 representing tonight. Back to you, Mr. LeBel.
Multiple plugs for the 901. We've got that. Hey, Joey, there's a lot of emotion in this. All right, as a guy that, I don't know if he has any injuries that are coming from his past, but you look at Ohio State, you look at Penn State, for example, as being linebacker U, and more recently, especially the fast linebackers from LSU and the numerous amount that have been there. USC has had tremendous amounts. Is there anything as pedigree coming from Cincinnati, but also being a kid from Tennessee that makes you go, I don't know, I just don't have the patience here? You said somewhere between the 4th, 5th, 6th round, something like that. Is there anything that you would need to see that moves him into the 2nd round, or maybe higher into the 4th, or maybe a 3rd rounder? What is he lacking in terms of just there's too many guys that are in front of him in line? Is that all there is to it, or is there something else that is kind of a inhibitor that if he can work on over the next several months before the combine and the draft, that you might say, you know what, I've seen something, and I've seen him improve to the point where I would move him up on my draft chart?
Well, I think the things that he needs to work on most, he can't work on without playing football. I mean, the athletic stuff is what it is. I think he's got some straight line explosion. I mean, when you talk about like the broad jump numbers, some of those numbers, those come from hip explosion. Okay, so he's got some of that, but he doesn't necessarily play with that. And what I mean by that is you see him dropping coverage, and he's tight. His change of direction will probably be pretty average for a linebacker. I think if he comes in on 3rd down, he's coming in to be an added pass rusher at this point, rather than a guy that's going to play in space. And playing Sam linebacker, when he's got to take on versus a tight end or a tackle that comes out at him, or a tight end that's flexed out that comes at him, he's got to play more stout there with his hands. He doesn't really do that. So the things that he needs to work on from a skill perspective, he can't work on when he's not playing football. So the athletic numbers will be what they are, and he'll probably be a really good athlete, which will help him. I think the thing that will help him most on the tape is he plays really hard. He goes 100 miles an hour all the time. He's tough. He looks like he's pretty aware. His football acumen and instincts look pretty good. So the other things he'll have to work on. Once he gets with the team, and he can learn how to take on blockers. He can learn how to get those long levers out and look at what he's doing, whether he needs to butt a guy or just control him and shed him, depending on which way he goes.
Joey, real quick, let me follow up with you before I go to Brian. He moved from one position to another. He moved from down on the line of scrimmage back to linebacker. A lot of what you're saying to me, it sounds like it's between his ears and that he just needs a little more experience. He needs to be able to react faster and use his God-given speed to get to where he needs to be when he's dropping back, because he needs to see a little more. He hasn't seen Blake Bortles run a route against him yet, and he's going to. And just getting more used to doing something and recognizing it quicker and being able to get to his responsibility in a faster time frame. Is there a portion of what I'm saying there? I hope I said it correctly, but
yeah,
give me a more clear or more thorough example of what you mean to break down to where he's just playing. He's got speed, but he's not getting to the ball quicker. He's reading and then getting to the ball. He just needs to be able to get to the ball and not think about it.
Well, a lot of people will call this guy a hustle and effort guy, which means he's going to be ball to the wall, going to wherever the ball is. Now he's seen the game from two different perspectives. He's seen it as a lineman being down in a 3-point stance, rushing the passer, taking on blockers that come at him. So he's seen it from that standpoint. Now he's seeing it from off the ball. And that's a whole completely different view of the game. So now he's seeing it where he's got to look at keys from the offensive lineman, what they're doing. He's got to look at where the back is lined up. Is he in a split or is he in an eye? Where is he lined up? Is he flexing out in space? So now the game is a little bit different for him, because now he doesn't just have his hand down in the dirt rushing upfield. Now he's got to really think through the game, and that's going to take a while to develop.
Yeah. Absolutely. Brian, the Falcons had a guy, Anderson, from Montana State just a couple years ago, who was a quarterback when he first went there. There's different guys that just, they're athletic, they're big, they're strong. I remember his rookie year, he ends up blocking a punt against the Rams, and I go, how is he doing that? It's just unbelievable how quickly he's able to react. But the knock on him was he played slower than most other guys that aren't as big, aren't as fast, because he was thinking before he was just reacting. Are there portions of Jake's game that you say, look, he's got it here, but we also realize he needs to fine tune, get a little bit more refined, and really just develop, and that can happen in a training camp or two to where he becomes an NFL starter?
Yeah, I think you and Joey hit the nail on the head. I think he's got to get comfortable, right? And it's got to be instincts. He's got to be able to not necessarily think. He's got to be able to process it immediately, right? And he's only got really 2 years at high level linebacker, right? And if you go from last year, his 2024 tape at Cincinnati versus 25 tape, he got better in every aspect, right? It became more natural. He's learning the position. He's growing. He's getting better. And I think, you do that every single year, right? You grow and you get better. You ask any player, hey, we're always trying to improve and get better and grow. But to have to do so on the fly, I mean, it's a big deal. And I think more so than anything, you're going to probably see whoever takes him, he's going to get a ton of preseason reps, right? They're going to throw him into the fire and kind of see what you can do, but you probably won't see a lot of them, at least early on in the regular season, unless guys are dropping like flies, because he's got to figure it out. And the special team stuff, I think that is kind of going to be his bread and butter. Like Joey mentioned, it's going to be, he's the prototypical guy you want on the field, flying downfield on special teams, right? And that's not a knock on him in any capacity, right? He can make plays, he can be a difference maker immediately, even though he doesn't fully understand what he needs to do yet. He has a chance to grow. He's still helping the team win, and I think that's huge for him. And I think it's huge for anybody that ends up picking him up. I think sky's the limit, but he's got to figure it out. And I think it's the mental stuff. It's gonna a lot of time watching tape, a lot of time watching his own tape and breaking down the bad stuff and say, okay, let's move on from that. Let's grow and let's get better each and every week. And I think, like we've talked with every prospect, if he works hard enough and the heart's there and he wants to be good enough, I think he absolutely can be.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we may sound like we're being critical of, folks, but we're really just saying it's this close. The difference between one guy that has it and another guy that doesn't could be a second to a fourth or fifth rounder. One is a millionaire, one makes a couple $100,000, but there's a guy that's going to be in the league for a very long time because he gets it faster than anybody else, and he does it just a little bit better. It's a small line, but there is a line, and it's a very distinctive one. And we're just trying to go over that with all the prospects that we're going to be talking about here at 100 Yards of Football. We appreciate you being a part of the 2026 NFL Prospect Show. This has been the one featuring Jake Golday, linebacker from Cincinnati, and he's also from just outside of Memphis, Tennessee. So someone on this staff is very, very proud and happy for him, and we are as well. Jake Golday, we wish you all the best. So for Vincent Turner, Joey Clinkscales, for Brian LeBel, I'm Harper LeBel saying thank you for tuning in, everybody. We appreciate you being a part of the show. If you like and subscribe, please do so and tell a friend. We'd like you to at least help the show grow in one way, shape, or form. Thank you very much for that. But have a fantastic rest of your